Hey everyone, welcome back to Absolutely. My name is Benny, that is Dylan, and that is Hassan. And today we're going to be talking about She-Hulk. We're a channel that gets together talking about all the rumors and reviews of the shows going on in the world of entertainment. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, G Fuel and Into the AM, and join our YouTube memberships if you want to help support this channel even further. Today's topic, She-Hulk episode number 3. All right, let's get into it. What'd you guys think?
I loved it. I love this show. This show's fantastic.
All right, cool. See you guys next week.
I don't know about fantastic, but it's fun. I like this show.
That's where I'm at with it. Like, if I had to rank this, it's not going to be in my top MCU shows, but it's definitely enjoyable from beginning to end. And when the ending drops, I definitely go, "Ah." I want more. The way this
I'll say
ended,
my biggest issue is lengthwise, and I almost wish they dropped more episodes of it because it's really, really funny, and it doesn't last long enough. They're like 25-minute, maybe 30-minute or less episodes, and they're great.
Yeah, and that's my issue, because we ended on a cliffhanger, kind of, but the Wrecking Crew showed up, using Asgardian construction crew, which I found the helmet to be the funniest. What is that even going to do?
That's funny. I didn't even know who they were. I watched this episode last night, and I watched it with my girlfriend who hasn't seen any of She-Hulk so far. And she initially was super hesitant because she's a big fan of the comics, and she was sad that they didn't yoke out She-Hulk. She's not really yoked at all, really, and not necessarily. She's a giant lady, but
right.
She wasn't a fan of that. But we watched the episode, and we were both dying, laughing, thoroughly enjoying it. It's different. It's this is the first WandaVision almost did it, whereas an MCU show that has its own identity. This show has its own sitcom TV identity, and it runs with it.
The fourth wall breaking really fits with this being a sitcom. I loved when she brought up bringing Wong in, and then she goes through her own meta moment of but this isn't going to be a show where we introduce a cameo every single week, other than Bruce, other than Wong, other than who was it, Blonsky? Yeah, Abomination.
Blonsky.
And then she just looks at the camera oh, but it's still about me.
yeah. Don't forget who this is about.
Yeah. I mean, that's gonna be a theme going forward. I wonder who else we're gonna get other than Daredevil, because the last episode, we have all the titles for everything, and the last episode of the show is called "Whose Show Is This?" So I imagine it's still going to be this for the rest of it,
right?
Which is fun.
Well,
Sal and I talked about that last week, where this weirdly on this show. We're kind of okay with that, where it's a show that's focused on a lot of different characters, just because it seems like they're already nailing She-Hulk, and they've set the groundwork with they've built an environment where it's okay to just throw random characters at the wall, because it seems like they can handle it pretty well.
So one thing I noticed, and this is what my tweet about today was, I wish this was one episode. This did feel like one episode. It was the origin, Abomination, and then the resolution. So all 3 episodes just felt like they should have not been it's just a 3-episode arc. So I'm wondering if we're going to get 3 episodes arc next and then 3-episode arc next, and that's why it's 9. Because that was one thing I noticed. Abomination's resolved. And while he might show up later, he's resolved. It's over. He's out of prison. So unless he's going to go on a rampage later, which might be some kind of callback, it's done. What do you guys think about them kind of doing 3-episode arcs and just moving on with it?
I don't necessarily know if it's going to be moving on, because we haven't seen the next episode, so we don't know how the narrative is structured. I'll have more thoughts on that next week, but I like it. I really am viewing it as just popcorn TV, movie, regular old school TV. So the self-contained episodes, I'm more than fine with. Hey, we had her origin episode, then we had her where's her new job episode, and now we have her work in the job episode. So I'm not. My brain didn't view it as the 3-episode arc. I'm still viewing it as overarching TV show. But you might be onto something with it, because then it could be a Daredevil arc next.
This definitely feels like a TV show more than most of them did. A lot of people are saying that WandaVision is also that way, which I would argue I think it feels that way just just superficially. Narratively, it's still written as a movie for the most part.
Right.
But this show is definitely it is the most episodic actually TV show that we've gotten from Marvel so far. And I think that's really working for it, just because TV shows should feel like TV shows. And I think again that's you guys were talking about the length. I think the length of the episodes are fine personally, but the length of the season is tough, just because this feels like it should be a classic network 21 episode show, but it's 9 episodes, which is basically Marvel's 6-episode model with the shorter episodes, which is the same with WandaVision. So
right.
I don't know. I enjoy it either way. Like I really like the episodic nature of it, just because it gives it's very refreshing, especially when it's not like hinging on everything. And obviously there's through lines. I think the through line of like we're sort of hinting at the very last shot of this episode, aside from the post-credit scene, which we should talk about because it's very divisive. But the
stupidest arguments ever. But we'll talk about that in a second.
But the her looking at herself in the mirror, the car window, seems like her like psyche is gonna play like an underlying.
I think she's starting to come to terms
hopefully.
with she's She-Hulk. That's one thing she's been fighting since the beginning. It's like, I'm not She-Hulk. I'm the lawyer Jennifer Walters, but like, no, you're She-Hulk. No, you got to be lawyer She-Hulk. No, you got like. Even when she was trying to defend Blonsky, you'd think that she would show up as She-Hulk. She didn't walk in as She-Hulk. She didn't do it as She-Hulk. She just, you know, so
they wouldn't let her. But
well, yeah, and they made a point of that. You're right. But what I'm saying is, even though that she couldn't, they still made a point that she wasn't. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think this is her coming to terms with the fact that now she's going to get jumped because she's She-Hulk. Being She-Hulk saved her. Because I loved that line of like, oh, right.
Yeah, I'm with you guys there. I'm not like stressed out about this narrative though. I feel like if I'm behind on a show and I need to watch them all to review a show with you guys, right? Most shows stress me out to do that. Like even Miss Marvel was like, I put it off for an extra week. I put it off for another week. And then these episodes are like really dragging me down. She-Hulk, oh my God, it's so palatable. I think that's the term that I would use.
Yeah.
It is palatable.
It's very
I feel like
digestible.
I feel great just watching it, enjoying it, moving on to the next thing kind of vibe.
Yeah. Everyone's super likable, and that's like, that goes a long way, especially in a sitcom where, if your actors and your characters are annoying to watch, then you're not gonna stick with it because not a lot's happening. And that
even the B plot was interesting. I found the B plot funny about the light off shape shifting and like constantly doing it still, like impersonating the judge and stuff.
She looks at she goes, the A and the B plot converge. Yeah, I was like, that's so great. Also, the actor, he was Adrian Chase in Arrow. He played Prometheus, the coolest villain in all of Arrow. Season 5 of Arrow, he was the main villain. He was fantastic in that as Adrian Chase. He's fantastic in this. I loved seeing him back on screen. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I like having him there. I liked that whole argument and like it called back to the first introduction to the jackass guy that she just didn't want to deal with. So it calls back to her getting to call him out in court, basically. I liked all of that.
The whole bit's so funny. That whole bit just had me dying laughing. When she like transforms in the judge and she's just like screaming laughing and she keeps doing it over and over.
I'm so glad that I feel like in a different show they would have been like, oh well, the judge said so I guess we'll go back on it. But immediately everyone, including her lawyer, was like, stop, we all know it's you.
So you wanted to bring this up, the end credit scene. What I've noticed with this show and a lot of more recent Marvel shows is I don't understand this. I do not understand this. You can like a property like the MCU and just not watch something. But what I've noticed is people will watch this to find the most out of context scenes to complain about. Like going back to the original mansplaining argument where the only thing I saw on the entire internet was there's this one scene that lasts 5 seconds that the writing is terrible, so we're going to shit all over the show. There's this one scene where the CGI looks terrible, so we're going to shit all over the show. And you never see anyone bring up other stuff or counterpoints or to really dive into why this is a problem discussion. In the latest end credit scene that are all super comical, they just do them as fun comical scenes.
Yeah,
is She-Hulk twerking, and everyone's like, "This is why the MCU is a failure." What?
They're right.
Did you forget Star-Lord's introduction is a dance sequence?
Did you forget that we all got hyped for Baron Zemo pumping up his fist at the club a year ago during Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Did everyone forget that he beat Ronan with a dance-off?
Well, they're twerking, right? It's not like Star-Lord hip thrusts in all of his dance, so there's his sexual move.
No,
it doesn't.
But Star-Lord is Chris Pratt is a very nice Christian man, and is She-Hulk twerking? No, we can't have that in our show.
We can't.
I think it's the dumbest thing ever because it's like one or two people hate watch this, find one out of context scene, and then everyone else jumps on board to shit on She-Hulk because it's got twerking. I don't see any, like, they complain about the twerking and the CGI, and I will admit, the CGI is wonky at times, but you got a Hulk walking around.
That scene.
Yeah, It was wonky in that
great there.
scene. It's wonky whenever I feel it gets really wonky whenever they put for me, whenever they put her in the suit and she's trying to just blend in with normal people. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just they don't have the model solved, and they don't have the budget to solve the model with especially on a 20-minute like tight turnaround time. I'm sure budget. I saw a lot of people after all the Marvel VFX drama that came out. I was gonna call it nonsense. It's not nonsense, but just all of that after that coming out, people are like, wow. A Marvel VFX actor had to leave their family for 2 weeks to animate She-Hulk twerking. I know mostly that's a joke, but I think it is very popular. People think that Marvel is like the most popular thing on the planet and everybody loves it, but it's interesting. The internet has turned where it is just as popular, if not more popular, to hate Marvel stuff than it is to love it.
It's a stupid personality trait either which way, whether you're an obsessive fan who can say they can do no wrong. Just enjoy for what you get. They've gotten so tyrannical about this. Like I'm looking at Twitter in front of me and some guy tweeted, Martin Scorsese was right with, what do you call it? The shot of Meg Thee Stallion and She-Hulk twerking. And then he tweeted underneath, y'all keep saying it's a comedy show, but I can't find the funny. So obviously I responded and I was like, it's hard to find the funny when you're an incel. I just don't. What's the point of being so angry? It's not.
I mean, my philosophy in life in general, and I feel like more people need to just take this philosophy. If I don't like something, I just stop watching it, or I just stop reading it, and I just look for positivity. Because I've told people this many times: if you hate watch stuff or you look for negativity, you will find negativity. I could tell you 3 things that I disliked about She-Hulk as a whole and this episode as a whole. Like I could easily do that, but why? Because that's going to invite negativity in the comments, and we're not going to talk positivity.
That's why show here.
Huh?
It's the point of the show here. Criticize and
you want criticizing? I think the animation looks terrible, especially when she was in the suit. Like it was so blatantly obvious that it.
I mean, the
wrong.
twerking was pretty real to form, if you asked me. I think it's like very accurate.
Using the Wrecking Crew is comical to turn it into like an Asgardian hard hat, like that.
No idea what the.
That's
Wrecking
how
Crew
it is in the comics.
No, it's not. I even just googled it to verify.
I've never seen the Wrecking Crew. I've never heard of the Wrecking Crew. I thought it was really funny that some random guys at the Asgardians stolen like construction gear. Or
I mean, I don't know.
Attack her.
I don't know about the helmet specifically, but they are just a bunch of goofy construction workers with Asgardian weapons.
Yeah, no, they are.
Things.
But I think they took it to the next level when it comes down to with the show. They leaned into more of the humor of it instead of just because they have normal villain costumes and they happen to have construction gear. That's how the Wrecking Crew are. That leans a little bit more into the overall MCU humor, where I think we go too far into the humor sometimes, such as creating an orange construction hat that is magical.
I think that's funny.
That's one of my other that was one of my other major issues. And I do feel like as much as I'm enjoying the formatting of the show, they still don't have it fully figured out. Because in my opinion, this was a 3-episode arc. We could have easily just knocked out all 3 and it was one thing: the origin and placement of She-Hulk. Not even at a 4th thing. Blonsky, as much fun as he was, what the hell was that portrayal? Awesome. I'm a hippie now. Don't worry about it.
Great.
I mean, it's crazy because it lets you know how old the MCU is. He spent 15 years in prison or 10 plus years in prison.
He's also definitely lying.
Oh yeah.
But what I'm getting at is it's easy enough to find things that I can easily peg for or nitpick or be negative about. You can easily look at twerking She-Hulk, the comedy scene at the end of the episode, and be like, oh my God, it's so terrible. Why are we allowing this? Or you could just enjoy what you enjoy and just not watch things you're not enjoying.
During that, there was this series of tweets they put on screen when they were talking about She-Hulk's discourse, and it was a lot of little incel tweets and stuff about her. They actually got all those tweets from the comment section of when they announced She-Hulk.
I saw that.
Whoa, it's all woke. I get putting women in stuff, but why do they have to be the lead? Just it's very soupsisms taking over the world, and it's just. It's great that we have female heroes. We don't need to harp on that. Me and my roommates talk about it a lot. Back in the day, there used to be just black TV shows, and nobody would really think anything of it. It wasn't a big deal. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was on. Family Matters. Yeah, there's so many shows on, and I watched them constantly as a kid. It never crossed my mind. But now it's black specific show with black writer, black director. They market it like that because it was always that, but they market it like that to almost incite the counterculture of it, the angry people, this is a woke situation. She-Hulk feels the same, where it's this is a great, amazing IP, but here, if it came out 20 years ago would have been just a great show. Now, well, it wouldn't have been a great show. CGI, it's 20 years ago. No, but it would have been just a great show.
Woman
I mean,
painted
there's a
green.
lot of examples of that, like especially in cartoon world. Like Doug was, multiracial cast. We had things like The Kids Next Door, where
Yeah, it was so
multiracial
normal.
cast.
It was never like
You know,
discussed
a
as
great
like a weird
thing that people like to bring up. Kim Possible was
Yeah.
a female-led cartoon show that no one gives any crap to. The Powerpuff Girls. I mean,
Kim Possible's
don't-
iconic.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, and that's why I find it so weird that people look for something to hate on with She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Especially when I could tell you, it's just like the She-Hulk comics for the most part. There's a few changes, but for the most part it is. So and one guy responded to one of my comments. I tweeted out today saying I'm enjoying this. Overall, I'm enjoying this. And he said, well, I'm not really enjoying it, but I hear it's like the comics. I probably just wouldn't like the comics either. And I responded, yes.
That's fine.
If you
Yeah.
don't like this, you won't like the comics, so don't get either. Problem solved. And I'm not saying, like, and I've always said this since the beginning, if enough people don't like She-Hulk, legitimately don't like She-Hulk, and we don't watch it, they won't greenlight season 2. But if you all hate watch it, they don't care if you hate watched it. Look at the CW and how long that stuff has gone on. If you're hate watching it, it's still views and ads.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? I don't know why you would hate watch something that's this fun anyways. Like there are things to hate watch. There are tons of Netflix movies like what do you call it? Tall Girl or Sierra Burgess is the Biggest
Tall
Loser
Girl.
or freaking The Kissing Booth 1, 2
Oh my
and
God.
3.
Oh my God.
All 3 kissing booths.
She is so tall. She is 6'1". What are we going to do?
Oh god, it's
Don't
just a
forget Tall
ridiculous
Girl
concept,
too.
but
She gets
if
even
you want
taller.
to she does. She gets she hulks out.
She has her growth spurt.
Yeah, Tall Girl too, growth spurt. Yeah, I don't know why people are so up in arms about it. And all the people who like were commenting aggressively about it, I tap on their profile and I see like a random image rather than their own face and a bunch of other incel tweets, or I'll see a face of a guy who looks inbred. So at this point, I really don't care what you guys have to say.
Wow, you're really going hard on it. I'm not going to be the
think
guy that
I
says
do.
everyone with complaints is an incel. I think Hudson's a little
I'm
angry.
talking
Yeah.
about the complaints
Well,
as in
there's-
like the specific sexism in the complaint, because there are complaints
Sure.
like Benny, you brought up complaints that were not sexist. You're like, I don't like the CGI, I don't like this, but the show's funny. You brought up complaints of the show. They're bringing up complaints of their issue with the way the world works. Women
Right.
can't be front.
Let's
women
go,
back.
I think you're changing our entire discourse here to be about your anger against problematic people out there. Let's bring it back to She-Hulk. So,
Well, the episode it erupted because I knew about the twerk scene before I even got to watch the episode because of how huge the discussion was. So many people made TikToks and they were like, She-Hulk is a bad show and here's why, and then they'd include that scene, or here's the fall of the MCU, whatever. And it was perpetual. But most of the people I saw that were saying those things were also like posting videos pro Andrew Tate, and that's literally a correlation that I saw. Like I looked at like at least 10 of those accounts on TikTok and on Twitter. But that's sorry, that's my point of view. If you don't like the show because it's boring or it's not funny or it's cringe, I totally understand that. I could see a lot of this
and
being
that's
cringe.
that's more what I would like our negativity to be related to. And if that is your negativity, then don't watch the show. Is my entire point. Overall, though, I have been enjoying this show. I do think it's a lot of fun. It's not something I will say it's not on my list of Thursday morning. I got to rush to go watch it, but it is something that I'm not avoiding because of the like I'm not avoiding it and making other people watch it for the channel. So that's a pretty good sign right there. What is your closing thoughts on it, Dylan?
I like it. I think just real quick touching on the we didn't really talk about Meg Thee Stallion at all.
Well, she was really nothing. She just kind of showed up at the end there, and now she's the new client, which could be interesting.
That was a headline, and people were interested to see if they were gonna pull like a Harry Styles as Star Fox thing again. But they didn't.
She's a real rapper. I didn't know that. I thought she was made up for the show.
Yeah. Well, that's the
Benny.
thing. That's what a lot of people are. Yeah, that's funny. First of all,
That's so fun. That's so hilarious,
old.
Benny. Meg Thee Stallion is like the biggest artist of the last 3 years as far as
Yeah.
like music listens and like cultural
Okay, you're gonna make me
representation.
challenge you on that, and I'm gonna once again tell you it's in your.
She's
little
literally
world.
like all the biggest songs
Hold
on
on.
TikTok. All of those are Meg Thee Stallion. He's gonna be like
okay,
Ed Sheeran is the biggest star.
Think
so he's
about
gonna
what
pull
you
out on
just
me.
said. Think about what you just said.
what he just said something that's very good to his
No,
point.
what I'm saying is that it's only the biggest songs on TikTok. I'm actually
No,
looking at how.
Benny,
Right, which
biggest
are the
on
biggest
TikTok,
songs
aka
ever.
The biggest songs in the world. They
Yeah.
all top the Billboard 100 times 10.
That's how TikTok works now.
TikTok.
You get big
Oh, I
song
do-
on
I
TikTok.
do, yeah, no,
you
TikTok
get
can
big
get your
song
song
on
in.
World. Yeah. Anyway, the point I was going to bring up is that which is probably a better experience for you, Benny, since you didn't know who she was. But I think like it would have been a little bit better to keep it insular to the MCU if she just played like a fictional version of herself, like just a Marvel pop star instead of Meg Thee Stallion.
She's not even listed. Anyway, keep going. Yeah.
On what? You just searched. You just Googled for like 10 minutes to find a statistic that helped your argument.
No, because it's not hard to find. On Forbes, we have the top 5 songs over the last, in various categories over the last. She does not even show up on the YouTube top, on Pandora, on Billboard, on
just
Billboard.
Look at like the top 100
Are you kidding?
Spotify artists.
Her song WAP had
top
over
Spotify,
a billion.
not on there.
Her song WAP had over 1 billion listens.
She's competing with Doja Cat, Ed Sheeran, Justin Bieber, Dua
She has
Lipa.
songs with Doja Cat, Ed Sheeran,
I'm
and
telling
Justin
you,
Bieber.
she's not listed even globally on Spotify.
I promise you, Benny.
This is such a stupid, petty argument.
It is.
I've got the listings. I've got the.
Listen,
I'm not
Benny,
saying she's
it's
not a big
okay
deal.
that you didn't know who someone was.
And I'm fine with that, but I'm challenging
Clearly you're
him.
not.
I'm challenging him being like, she's the biggest thing in the last 3 years. She's not even listed in the top 5. So, I can't flip off because we're family friendly. Anyway.
No one.
Comments,
no one's on your
if you'd
side
like
here.
to correct Benny, please feel
It doesn't matter if she's
give me a
number
call.
6 or number 7. You said top, and she's
Here's
not
what
in
I
top
want.
5.
Here's what I want. In the comments, put whether or not you knew who Meg Thee Stallion was before this episode, and then put how old you are if you're comfortable sharing that.
Right.
I'm not arguing against that she's a big deal. I'm challenging his exact comment of she is the biggest thing in the last 30
She was literally,
years.
and I stand by
You're
it. You
wrong.
can say what you want
You're
based on your
wrong.
listicle. We're talking cultural representation of like
You are
movement of media
wrong.
and everything.
I win. I will give you the
You're
stats.
just as bad as the people who are saying She-Hulk bad because woman right now. This is their.
It's not a
so? How is that a correlation?
Technically, you said this, so I'm going to challenge that specific point.
Because his
But even
argument
that
was
point, I'm
she's a
down to
big deal. How have you missed her? His exact quote was she's the biggest thing. She's all over
she
TikTok.
literally was one of in the last 4 years. She's had more of a cultural impact than Taylor Swift, which is a bigger deal because she's always been a massive artist. Meg Thee Stallion was huge.
I'm just saying.
We're talking
Drake,
like
Dua Lipa. I've heard of them. You know, I've heard.
Drake, Dua Lipa have been around for.
Yeah, because you're
They're still the
old.
top.
Heard of Drake.
I've heard of
So-
The Weeknd. I've heard of Pop Smoke.
These are all old.
These are all old
They're
people.
still
Like,
the top 5.
The song like Savage, like one of the biggest TikTok dance the last couple years. That 15 million people made a video of it. That was Meg Thee Stallion song. They danced it on Jimmy Kimmel
Okay,
Live.
it's
You know,
still not
hold on.
top 5.
It's not top
Okay,
five.
let me hold on. Let me ask you this: back when
man.
Fortnite was in Avengers Endgame, was that like a huge thing?
No, and I'm not arguing that it's not a huge thing that she's there. I'm not. This isn't an argument against that.
No, I'm not saying
it's
that,
an
but I'm
argument against
saying
his
like
statement.
Like I'm just saying in the context of time, like over time,
Right.
Fortnite was only out for like a year and a half before they put
yeah,
it in
it
the
was a big
biggest
deal.
movie on the planet.
Right.
So I'm just like,
I'm
like
not
relatively
discounting her being
speaking-
in there. I'm not saying she's not a big deal. I'm challenging one statement from Hassan.
and I simply
is
I have no
absurd.
intention of backing down on this statement. I literally don't. Her music is everywhere. I don't even like Meg Thee Stallion music.
So what were you
No.
saying about
me
Meg
too.
Thee Stallion, Dylan? What were you saying?
I just said that I think it would have been better if she played a fictional version of herself because I worry about putting like real celebrities into these shows because it now not only do we have cameos from Marvel characters coming in, but now we have cameos from real people.
Yeah.
And I get that's part of the show sort of is She-Hulk sort of losing her identity and coming to grips with it at the same time. But which is cool, but also like I don't know. I saw a lot of people liken putting Meg Thee Stallion in as like the Simpsons putting Lady Gaga in, which is
It kind of is
fair.
because I mean, regardless of how big she is now, how big she'll be in 10 years, it does date it to when she was at her peak, basically. Unless she somehow gets even bigger, it's dating it to that time period. It's just the only problem with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But,
So did you think she was just like a made up Marvel character?
yeah,
Or did you?
I thought she was a Marvel
Interesting.
character that they made up, that they just made
She's
up like
pretty
some pop
animated
star.
as a person, so it totally tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In interviews, she'll randomly just go, ah. and do
It's
that.
true.
She does that
She
all
did
the
that in
time.
this
So she did it
episode.
in the show, which is like I can see why he thought that was fictional. Why would a human being?
Yeah,
do that?
I just because I mean in all honesty, when I listen to Spotify and stuff, I just put on top current. So I've probably heard her songs and not even known it was her because I just put on the whole track. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
mean, if you
but
open
all right, so that's
TikTok-
pretty much where we're at. I hope you guys enjoyed a little bit of a bonus argument here. I don't know if Dylan needs to cut that out as a separate thing or not, but if
No,
he
it's all
does, you'll get
going
2
in.
episodes.
That's a great video. That's I'm
it's
excited
going to be a
watch that.
separate
That's
thing no
gonna
matter what. Like if
That's
it,
super funny regardless. And then we should release like a community poll later and be like, okay, are you on Benny's
yeah.
side or Hassan's about this?
was
yeah,
right.
we're
Please
putting a
watch this
community
video.
poll after this episode. If I forget, keep commenting until I put it up. Whose side are you on?
Absolutely
This one?
civil war.
That's a great idea. We'll link the video and then we'll put that and we'll put a poll on there. That'd be a great idea. I'd love.
All right.
Absolutely
Anyway, I hope you
civil
guys
war.
enjoyed today's episode. I am Benny. That is Hassan. That is Dylan. Check out our sponsors, G Fuel, Into the AM, and make sure you consider joining our YouTube memberships if you want to support us further. See you guys next time right here.